Hello everybody, welcome back. Once again, I'm in unfamiliar territory. I'm sure we all know this place. I am at the Shea, and this is my long overdue annual season verdict for Halifax Town's 2025-2026 football season. It's been a very hard week, obviously, to be a Town fan, with Adam later leaving us to go to Morecambe, along with Sam Walker, as we know now. I'm still very disappointed by it. I'm still angry by it. I've obviously done 2 reaction videos about it. One was a lot more rawer than the other. Apologies for that. Some people have actually texted me and said, "Hey, all right, Jack, you seem a bit depressed. You almost think you have clinical depression." I just want to say really quickly, I don't have clinical depression. I am depressed by the news, but I'm not I don't have depression in that way. Like the rest of us, I'm just bitterly disappointed by the circumstances of what's happened with Adam and him going to Morecambe and all that stuff. And I'm still feeling that way now, but thankfully I've calmed down a bit. 2 reasons why I was angry, as well as what was going on, was because literally that night I was going to record the season event I'm doing today, and we were going to do a presentation event the next day at the Shea. Well, supporters were going to do this presentation event, the sort of little end of season awards for players, and that got cancelled because of Adam deciding to leave. And then another reason why I got angry is because 90 to 95% of what I was going to say in my season verdict was about Adam Lakeland. You know, how well he's done, how well the squad's done, how entertaining it's been, what's been good, what the little improvements that we need to make, what's been going behind the scenes, is it getting better, is it getting worse, all of that stuff. And the moment it was announced that he'd left, I had to reassess all of that. I had to start again. I was going to do this on a Sunday, and like I said, I just had to reassess over and over again until it sounded, you know, for me, what was right. And yeah, so yeah, very hard week. Lost a lot of optimism in what's been going on with Halifax Town recently because of it. Literally the other week when I was in Rochdale, I didn't watch Rochdale in York, but when I did that video and stuff, I was speaking to Harry Kilner, who's one of the YouTubers that I interviewed that day. And we got talking after we did the interview and everything, and he said to me, "How you feeling?" I can't remember we got onto this, but he asked me how I was feeling about Halifax Town at the moment, and I said, "To be honest with you, mate, I'm feeling very optimistic. You know, Adam's just had his first season, and I think we can improve. I think we can get to playoffs again the year after. I think things are going to get much better in the next year or two, or even the next 3 years." A lot of that optimism just died the moment that he said he was leaving. So yeah, it's been a hard week, but I'm here now to do the annual season verdict. So yeah, I'm just going to crack on with it. First of all, just before I get to my own thoughts, as I'm sure a lot of you will know, a few weeks ago I put out a couple of polls asking you personally who you thought was the player of the season, what was the goal of the season, what was the game of the season, and I'm very happy with the response I've got to that. I didn't think a lot of people were going to vote, but there's been quite a few people. Quite a lot of you have voted for and given your thoughts on who you thought was the best player, who deserves a mention. Same with goals and games. It's not the official Halifax Town vote, obviously. That went to J Turner Cook, just so you know. It weren't what the sports club were doing either for the presentation event. It was just for me personally. You know, because I didn't know if I'd have a lot to say for my season verdict. I didn't want to just be rambling and stuttering like I always do. That's the reason why I put it out, and thank you so much for responding if you have. So I'll just quickly go over that. I'll start with goal of the season. This was the hardest one to do. The hardest one was the goal of the season because I haven't seen every goal this season. I haven't been every game. So I haven't seen all the best goals. One of the best goals that I should have put in, but I didn't see, so that's why I didn't come to my head straight away, was Will Harris against Eastleigh. Amazing goal, fantastic goal. It was a bicycle kick. It was at Eastleigh's ground. I think it was on 24th of January 2026 that was scored. That was an amazing goal. I should have put that in. I completely forgot. I went blank when you know, when I was thinking of goals. But yeah, a fantastic goal that. But the four I did pick in the end was Josh Mami's second goal against Brackley. I've no idea why I put that in. No one's voted for that. I don't know why I put that in. I think at the time I was thinking, oh, that was a good moment because we're winning 1-0, but only just, and that goal sealed the deal. You know, it was 91st minute, second goal. I think that's why I put it in, but nobody voted for it. You know, decent goal, but not worthy to be goal of the season. Looking back now, I don't know why I put that in. And then there was also Will Harris against Truro. Not the best game, a great moment again, scoring in the last minute. There was Tommy Lavery's equaliser against Rochdale. Very dramatic end to a very entertaining match. Obviously not a winning goal, but still an amazing moment. But the winning goal, the one that won my own personal award for goal of the season that you voted for, was Owen Bray against Boreham Wood. And I'm not surprised. We were drawing 2-2 against Boreham Wood, who's been amazing this season. Obviously playing the National League playoff final on Sunday against Rochdale. And it looked like we were going to draw, or they'd score at last minute or something like that. Not only was Owen Bray's actual goal itself really good, but the actual play that led up to it. Billy Waters' assist was absolutely fantastic. Coming away from Boreham Wood's area pitch, giving it to Bray, and he just ran and he ran and he ran. And just as we were all about to shout, shoot! He shoots, he scores, as the old saying goes. A fantastic moment, a fantastic goal. I think that was voted the best home goal of the season by Halifax Town itself. Will Harris's goal against Eastleigh won the actual. It came second. it was number one when it came to home goals. It was second on goals overall. So yeah, that won by a fair margin on my personal vote. And yeah, fantastic goal that. For game at season, I put both Rochdale games down. The Rochdale one at home, that was the only one that again wasn't a victory. Like I've already said about Tommy Lavery, what a dramatic end. 87 minutes gone, we were 2-0 down. We played so well, but it just looked like we were going to throw it away once again. And then we scored 2 goals out of nowhere. That's why that one was in there. I also put in our victories against Solihull Moors and Braintree. We just hammered them. I think they were comfortable victories. We didn't worry about them coming back at all throughout the match. They never really showed any signs of doing anything. We just battered them. Somebody, I think it was the Eagle Bearer, hi if you're watching, he said, what about the Aldershot match? We won 4-2. If I could, I'd put in 5 matches and that would have been number 5. That was a great match. The only reason why I think I didn't put it in the end was because, and I guess you could argue this the same with the Rochdale thing, it's just the end of that match was so amazing for atmosphere and everything like that. The one reason why I didn't put it in was because, and I'll get to this a bit later in the video, is the inconsistency that we've had all season. We played really well against Aldershot. We scored 4 goals. You know, the goals and the score reflected just on what we played. Unfortunately, we also made 2 massive mistakes, and that's what led to Aldershot's 2 goals. I wish they hadn't happened. If that weren't the case, that game would certainly have been up there as well. But the winner was playing Rochdale at their ground, Scotland. 1st of October 2025, Halifax Town won 2-1, and I'm glad that this one won, because this for me was my own personal game at season. Rochdale have been absolutely fantastic this season. It's a crime that they've not gone up automatically. 106 points, and they've got to be in the playoff final on Sunday. You know, against Boreham Wood, who themselves are a really good side. They finished on 90 plus points, finished 4th. You know, and they played so well that night. They played fantastic that night against us. But we just had that little bit of an edge. And we were just that little bit better than them. And because of that, we won 2-1. There was that one little mistake that led to Rochdale's goal. But other than that, it was just fantastic. To play against a side a side that got 106 points, that should be up now, should have gone up automatically like the other week and stuff. And to deserve a 3-point victory, the way we did it, it was a hard-fought win, but it was the best. I'm glad that one won the vote. It was a stupendous victory. Josh Hammam was at the peak of his powers at that point as well. So that's why that was a game of the season for me. And obviously, I like to think that a lot of you thought the same. That's why you voted for it. Speaking of Hamami, the last one was the player of the season. I put Hamami in. I've got to be honest with you. Looking back now, I kind of wish I put somebody else in. Specifically Will Hewell. Somebody actually in the comments actually said, what about Will Hewell? He was great all season. He was really consistent, and he was always a good player. Always played a good game. I wish I put, again, if I had 5 choices, Will Hill would definitely been in. Somebody else suggested Sean Hobson. Yeah, good player. The only thing, and this isn't a criticism of Hobson, it's not really a criticism of anyone in defence or Sam Johnson being keeper or like that, but I think a lot of the mistakes we had this season, I think a lot of that was down to the fact that the defence just collapsed a lot of the time. It weren't because any of them was bad players. There wasn't like a really bad player in there, not in my opinion. It was more down to the fact that it's a bit like the old Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, Paul Scholes thing back in the 90s when they were playing for England. Sometimes, in my opinion, it's a real unpopular opinion, we just couldn't play with each other. They were all great players. They all did what they were supposed to do. And this is no disrespect to Hobson, as I say, he was a good player. But sometimes there was kind of this hype around him and some other players in his position. And I thought it could just be a little bit better. So that's why I didn't pick him. AJ Wharton was another player that was like that. Great player, great, young player, always played really well. Sometimes he just needed a bit of help. Same with, even Will Smith. He got injured a lot, didn't play a lot. But on his day, he was really good. There was nothing wrong with the defence. It's just sometimes I just wish that they could have gelled a bit better together. I think we would have conceded less goals if that was the case. But going back to who won the player of the season for my personal poll, Cody Johnson, Jay Turner-Cook was in there as well. They both were really consistent players. Jay Turner-Cook, as I say, won the actual official vote last week, and I'm not surprised. He was fantastic in almost every game he played. Didn't score a lot of goals at times. He only really got scoring goals at the end. Sometimes I wish he could have been a bit better there, but that's one thing. It's not really his job to score the goals, really. He was just a fantastic player at times. And Cody Johnson, I could be wrong, but he always seemed to play with his heart on his sleeve. He seemed happy. He was playing really well. I don't know one time that Cody Johnson played bad. It was never his fault if we didn't get the win, or if we lost. It was never his fault. He always played really well. But ultimately, there was only one man who was ever going to win player of the season when it comes to the fans, really. Everyone that I've been speaking to, not just Halifax Town fans, but even some fans of other clubs that have come to share, there was one man that they all feared, and that was, of course, Will Harris. Back in the days when we had Neil Aspin, just over 10 years ago now, we used to have a lot of great strikers. The late great James Dean immediately comes to mind. Jimmy Vardy, of course, went on to become massive for Leicester, play for England, everything, and of course also Lee Gregory. I was surprised to find out that since Lee Gregory, we've never had a player that scored more than 20 or more goals in a season. Until this year. Will Harris came in. Was he consistently one of the best players in the way that Cody Johnson, Jay Turner-Cook was? In my honest opinion, no. But he was a goal scorer. And we've needed a goal scorer for several years now. We always said that we'd do that a little bit better if we just had a decent goal scorer. He was that goal scorer. I think him, Cody, Jay Turner-Cook, Hewell, Hamame, I think they're all Hobson. I think they're all the reason why we finished higher than we could have done at one time. So yeah, I'm so glad we've had Will Harris, and I know that there's a lot of these players that we'll probably never see play here at the Shea again for us, which is a shame. I hope we keep the bulk of them, because I still think we can do fairly well next season with them in the squad. So yeah, let's hope we stay, or at least let's hope most of them stay. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for voting for who you thought was the best player, what was the best goal, what was the best game. Now, as for my own personal thoughts on the season that's just been, it's a bit of a mixed bag at this point, but for the most part, I've been very happy. Let me take you back 12 months ago when we were playing against Oldham Athletic at Boundary Park. We just made the playoffs. We're doing fairly well, but we won against Braintree. That secured playoffs for us, and then we got absolutely thrashed by Oldham, who eventually won the playoffs, of course. And Chris Millington left. I was really upset when Chris Millington left. I know he wasn't everyone's favourite, I can understand why he weren't everyone's favourite. His style of football just wasn't for everyone. I understood why he had his critics. We needed someone who was going to do us. He was always, the one thing I always liked about Millington was that he always got the job done. And we needed someone that could do that, but also have a more entertaining style of football. And that's all we needed at the Shea for this season. Enter Adam Lakeland. And yeah, he delivered just that. You know, he had a much better style of football than Millington. He had a lot of great players come in. Unfortunately, we didn't start off that well. First month and a half of the season, we just played really poor. Well, we played all right, but we just could never get the 3 points. We lost quite a lot of matches that we shouldn't have lost. A very embarrassing opening day defeat to Braintree. Same with Wealdstone. We should have got a draw out of that. Missed a penalty. Missed a lot of penalties this season. That was a big problem. I think our first victory was against Yeovil, and that was right at the end of August. We just didn't start off that well. And then I think it was September 20th. We played Gateshead at Gateshead. That game should have been called off. There was a lot of water on the pitch. It should have been called off. But we won. And we went on a bit of a run after that. I think we won 5 games in a row, one of them being the Rochdale game I mentioned earlier. We lost the Brackley game. I said this at the time, if we were Manchester United, I would have shaved my hair off. All that stuff. It was a really good run. But once again, we kind of slipped away a bit. Going into end of October, throughout most of November, which had hit a really bad form again. Really bad form again. But we picked it up again after we beat Solihull at the end of November. Ironically, that was the day that Millington came back and he was in the opposite box and everything like that. One of my favourite things from this season was, this is just by the years that I've been going to Shea. If you're an older supporter, this might not be the case for you, but whilst I've been going, we always seem to have a bad winter. You know, we always seem to drop off and all that stuff. And there's only a couple of seasons where that's not happened. Even the season we went up with Billy Heath in National League North in 2017, we had a really bad December and January. Still went up, but you know, it weren't. I think that for a while we thought we weren't going to do it, and that was why, because of that run. This season was an exception. We got a lot of important victories, and we had a bit of a run the FA Trophy as well. You know, beating FC United 4-0, and that's no man's 4-0. Braintree beat them 4-0 as well. Got a massive victory against Altrincham. I wish we'd have got something out of Wealdstone. That was obviously a last minute mistake. Poor Charlotte Fairweather, I still feel for him now. But once again, and it's happened a lot in the season, we dropped off. We lost to Kidderminster FA Trophy on penalties. I think a lot of the momentum died after that because we were already a couple of points behind when it came to playoffs. Southend had a lot of games in hand. There were a lot of points ahead. And also, you know, I think going back to Millington, in his first season, we didn't have the best start, but we won the FA Trophy. So I think there was a little bit of hope we could do something like that again. And once we were out, that killed off a lot of the momentum we had. Then we had a lot of embarrassing defeats again. Lose to Gateshead 1-0. Gateshead had a great escape, mind you. They had a great escape. They finished 18th, I believe. But by that point in the season, I mean, as I say, they did really well, but at that point in the season, they were practically down. They were rock bottom at league, and we hadn't lost to about 20 odd games. We lost 1-0, and we deserved to lose 1-0. That was a really embarrassing defeat. That was probably one of the worst. That was definitely the worst game for me. And then we lost to York. Obviously, they won the National League in the end, but it was like a repeat of the Oldham match. You know, they scored 4 goals. We did score 1, but by that point, we were 3-0 down at half time. Embarrassing. We were just embarrassing run of form at that point. Once again, we came back, drawn with Rochdale. I think there's a lot of good. And then, of course, first half of March, Hartlepool, Boreham Wood, Solihull Moors, 3 massive victories there. Let me get words right. 3 massive victories there. As I've already said, the Boreham Wood one was a big one. Yeah. Carlisle and Scunthorpe were after that, and we lost to both of them. And once again, we kind of dropped away. April was a bit of a mixed bag. Some decent results, some not so decent results. It became impossible for us to reach the playoffs by the time that Southend beat Aldershot. I think it was about a week and a half to go before the season was over. And then literally a few days later, they came here to Shea and they beat us 6-2. And yeah, that was a really horrible ending to how us playing at home this season. We did get a bit of a happy ending. We beat Woking on the very last game of the season. I think it was an own goal at last minute as well. So we did get a bit of a happy ending, and always looking all right for the future. Now, of course, things have changed now because Adam's left and stuff. Did he do a good job? Yeah, he did. He did a decent job. He did the job that he came in. We wanted him to do this season. A decent finish, a decent squad, entertaining football. He did all of that. My only problem with him when it came to the football was, as you could probably tell by all the things I've said, it was the inconsistency. We went on so many runs where we just, we should have won a lot of matches. Sometimes, like the Gateshead match, we deserved to lose that one, but a lot of games that we lost or drew, and we should have won. The Carlisle game that I mentioned earlier, that's one that immediately comes to mind. Carlisle, they got 90 plus points, but they didn't really play that well against us that night. We played them off the park. They had that one chance and they scored. They won the match. That happened a lot. I forgot to mention, actually, we made the FA Cup first round for the first time in quite a few seasons now. And we played Exeter City, obviously a few leagues above us. Not done that well themselves in their own respective league. But we played really well that day as well. And we lost 2-0 because it was two silly mistakes that cost us that day. The Scunthorpe game at their place. Bad refereeing decisions, but still, should have got more out of that. Should have got something out of Forest Green when they came here. So there was a lot of games that we should have done better in. And like I say, Gateshead, York and Southend when they came for the last home game of the season, we deserved it. We were embarrassed, completely humbled in those games. So all I would have asked Adam to do for the following season, if he was watching, is just tighten up the defence a bit, just be a bit more consistent, and I no doubt, as I've already said, that we would have had a decent position next season. And now he's gone. So this brings me on to, obviously, the other thing I was going to talk about, which was things that are going on behind the scenes of the club. I don't know. None of us know 100% what's going on behind the scenes. Even some people that work really close to the club don't really know. So I'm not going to come to any big conclusions about like that. One thing I will say though is I've seen a lot of people online blame Bosworth for Adam Leighton leaving last week, and I'd just like to put a lot of rumours to it. A lot of things that people are saying, like people are saying, oh, why did Halifax get rid of the manager? What's the chairman doing? What's Bosworth doing? He should get out, resign, all that stuff. I just want to say really quickly, Adam did not leave because of David Bosworth. Adam Leighton left because Adam Leighton wanted to leave. It was his choice. It was fairly clear. If you look at all the different sources, Adam wanted to leave. He decided to go to Morecambe. He's done it before at a few other clubs. He seems to be very loyal and done really well at most clubs, and then he goes to another club. We're not the first club he's done it with, and if that's his reputation, I suspect we won't be the last either. Jumping ship to another club seems to be in his nature. Same with Sam. Sam has always gone with Adam, as he's been his assistant manager for a couple of years now. I think for the last 4 seasons. So Adam chose to leave because Adam wanted to leave. He didn't leave because of David Bosworth. May there have been some influence? Maybe, maybe not. But the club has pretty much put it clear that they will not expect him to leave. They will expect him to stay for another season. So it's not Bosworth's fault why he's left, not in my opinion. I think it's fairly clear that he's chose to leave his own circumstances. But where does that leave us? Where does that leave us for next season? Well, of course, we've got to be looking for a new manager. We're doing that right now. We've started the hunt for next Halifax Town manager. If you're going to ask who I want, I haven't got a clue. I've seen some of the names that they've put down. Steve Watson's one. Yeah, okay, sort of similar manager to Adam. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's a decent manager. I just don't know how well he can do here. At one point, there was a rumour that Pete Wild was going to come back. He was going to leave Tranmere at end of season. He was going to, because he said that that was it. He was going to keep Tranmere into the Football League, and then he was going to come back to Halifax Town. Bloody motorcycle again. What's my luck with motorcycles? Anyway, Pete Wild, Pete Wild, the reckon was going to come back, and I loved that because that would have given us a bit of optimism back. And Pete Wild with Adam Linton's squad, that would have been a really good mix. So I really sort of wish that would happen, but it doesn't look like it at this point. His name's not down on any of the list I've seen. It was just a rumour, which I'm sad about because I'd love to see Pete Wild come back to Shea. There's a few other names as well. Some I'm happy, some I'm alright with, some I'm not so happy with. Purely and simply because some of them I've tried to keep us up. I've tried to keep the clubs I've been at up rather than take them up. And others because of the same reason that I was saying about Adam Linton last year, was that they've not really managed at this level, or at least not managed that well. And all I want is a manager who's going to have an entertaining style of football like Adam Lakeland, be consistent like Millington, because that is the one thing that Millington did have better than Lakeland. He was consistent, as I've already said. Give the momentum and the optimism that Wild gave, and also challenge the leagues like they've all done at times, and certainly someone like Neil Aspin did. That is all. That's the only kind of manager I want at this club, and especially if a manager like that could come in with the players that we've had for last season. Yeah, we'd be fine. We'd finish in a decent position. Might not be playoffs, but we'll certainly finish in a decent position. That is my opinion on that. But the real concern is behind the scenes. It was also 12 months ago that I was saying, is it time for Mr. Bosworth to resign? I had mixed thoughts on that recently. There is a rumour right now that he's not well. He's not been at a lot of meetings. He's not been at any game this season. If that is the case, I would have said this on the previous two videos. If you are ill, Mr. Bosworth, I don't know if you're watching this, I wish you a speedy recovery. I hope it's nothing too serious. If not, no, to be fair, either way, I've still got that kind of mindset I had this time last year. Somebody was asking me the other day, and I don't really know how else to word this, to tell you the truth. I don't know how to word this. I'm, as you can probably tell by all my stuttering and all that stuff, I'm just sort of making it up as I go along. But one thing that I do really want to touch on really quickly, before I kind of explain the conclusion I've come to with behind the scenes at the moment. Someone the other day, when I did my really raw video on just wanting more, said to me, to be honest with you, Jack, I think that it was Junior Pav, who sometimes quotes this channel. He says, to be honest with you, Jack, I think that Halifax Town are in the level that they should be at, the 5th tier. They've been 5th tier for many years now. And sort of said, I think, you know, it's nice that you want more, but I think you should be happy with where you are, because sometimes we do better than we should be doing. And I do agree, to a certain extent, that, yeah, we're at a good level of football compared to where we used to be at. And obviously, you know, a lot of the times people don't expect much, so when we get playoffs, when we get an FA trophy, it means a lot. Even a cup run, you know, an FA Cup getting to the first round or even the second round, we're not done that for many years now. Even that's a lot. There's a reason why, and I've explained it a lot of times this channel, I feel like I repeat myself. There's a reason why I'm always wanting more. I said a lot of this the other day. I've been going to Shea now for many years, and whilst we've been at this level of football, I've seen many different football clubs. Some have gone downhill, and others have gone the other way. The other day, when I was kind of redoing my season verdicts and stuff, I looked at the League 2 table and how that finished. And when you look at the top 10 of League 2, all but one, or maybe two of them, MK Dons is the one that I was thinking of. Apart from them, almost every club in the top 10 of League 2, we've seen here at the Shea in the last 10, 15 years. Some of them we've done really well against as well. So Bromley won League 2. They won the National League last year. When I started going to Shea, they went National League South. Not as good as a ground as this. They've got great players and stuff, and they've just found their ways up the league. They're going to play Leicester City next year. That's how far they've gone. When we first got back to the conference with Aspin, we played Cambridge United. We lost to Cambridge in the playoffs. Davis got promoted to League 1. And when you look at the playoffs in League 2, Notts County, Chesterfield, Salford, Grimsby, we've played them all here at the Shea in the last 5 or 10 years. And in a lot of the cases, we've got a decent result against them. Not to count, we beat 3-2 a few years ago. Never really played that well at their place, but we got that 1-3-2 win. Sometimes we played fairly well against them a few times, I suppose. Chesterfield, I mean, it was the season that went up, but we beat them. Again, a team at first season they were down National League, we fished above them, but we lost in playoffs to them. Grimsby, I can't believe Grimsby's kind of stopped around. They've always done well at top of League 2 since they got up there, or at least the last couple of years they have. I don't see them being any bigger than us. Just so you know, I'm not trying to compare us to these clubs, and I'm not saying that any of these clubs are bigger or smaller. I shouldn't have worded it that way. Apologies for that. I'm just trying to give an idea of how well we should be doing both on and off the pitch, in my personal opinion. Anyways, back to the video. Salford, obviously they've got the Class 92 ownership and everything, but again, we beat them in National League North playoffs many years ago. We just seem to have shot past us years that followed. And when you look at who was just outside the playoffs, Oldham was here last year. And there's a lot of football clubs. And when you look at League One, now obviously you look at like Luton and Bristol Rovers, like they were down here once and they've done really well to get back. They've been out and on league for many years now, both of them. Obviously Luton reached all the way to Premier League a few years ago. But when like you look at the top half of the table, like Stockport County is one of the favourites to win League One playoffs this year. We beat them here at the Shea like less than 4 years ago. We were the team that played when to go up and stuff. Lincoln has won League One this year. Lincoln was down here at the Shea less than 10 years ago. Wrexham's of course in Championship. They've obviously got the ownership as well, but they were at the same level as us a few years ago. Stockport, Wrexham and Lincoln, if Stockport win playoffs, could all be in Championship next year. And it was what, less than 5-10 years ago, we were playing them all here. In fact, Stockport, we were in the 5th tier, Stockport was 6th tier at one time. And then York's gone up now. And Rochdale or Bournemouth will be going up on Sunday. And obviously there's some teams that we've just fished below, like Scunthorpe and Southend. Hartlepool was just below us in table. And, you know, they're roughly our level as well. But some would argue, Scunthorpe's much bigger. You know, I mean, they're in League, they're in the Championship back in 2009, I think it were. So in terms of like level of football, I see a lot of these clubs to be a similar, if not the same level as us. I'll go as far as some cases like Bromley to say they're smaller than us. And they're going up to League One. A lot of these teams are top half of League Two or in League One, or just go back to League Two, like York City. And we're still here, still in the same position that we were in 5-10 years ago. Not progressing. Faced the playoffs many times, won a few FA trophies, but not progressing up through the leagues. More than anything, this has sort of come back in the last week with Adam leaving. There's no feeling. There's no feeling of optimism. There's no real sense that we're on the brink of coming back ourselves or doing something ourselves. And a lot of it has this kind of, a lot of the mentality here is survival. You know, it's about surviving as a football club, both on and off the pitch. At the start of the season, there's quite a few supporters who just kind of go, let's hope we stop up this season, when we've never finished outside the top half since the start of the 2020s. You know, we've never, not since Jamie Fulton was manager back in 2019, have we ever finished in bottom half. And we've never really, I mean, obviously, Millington's first season, at one time it was looking a bit rough, but we pulled it round in the last couple of months. We have never been on brink of relegation, not 100% like some other clubs, ever since we got back in 2017 to the National League. It was a kind of a shock relegation, went down in 2016, finished 5th few years before that, 9th after that. And yeah, I can't believe the mentality is still survival, but I think a lot of that comes from off the pitch. You know, I think a lot of that, some of it's just supporters, you know, being negative and for the sake of like hoping that actually something better could happen. But a lot of it's down to behind the scenes. And, you know, I can understand. And people are convinced now that this club's going to go downhill for the next couple of seasons. And that really upsets me. Not just because it's my club, but also because we've done so well on the pitch at times. Top half finishes, all that stuff. The idea that it's all going to come to nothing, we're just going to go back down the leagues again like we did back in the late noughties and stuff. It really upsets me. It really upsets me because I look at how all those other teams do and I think, well, we should be with them. If that's not the overall what people think, it's fine. That's just where I wish we were. Among your Bromleys and your Cambridge Uniteds and your Notts Counties and your Salfords. You know, a lot of these clubs may have something that we don't have, whether it's behind the scenes or history, but they've all played at roughly the same level as us for quite a couple of years now, and like I say, they've moved on up and we're still here. So what do I think we need to do to change that? Honestly, I don't know. Do I think Bosworth's still the man? Not really. But there's a reason. You know, Bosworth, I really do 100% believe. I don't think he's trying to ruin us. I don't think he's trying to bring this club back to where it was, because he's the one who saved us. You know, he brought in Neil Aspin. He was the one who revived the club back from the dead. I don't think he tried to kill it off. You know, I think it's a film. I think it's a film title. This. I don't think he's gone, I love you, now die. I don't think he's done that. I think, you know, his biggest problem is that he still sort of runs the club as if they're in the 8th or 7th tier, you know, back in the Jamie Vardy days. And he plays it too safe. Now, obviously, we don't want to take any big risks because we don't want to end up going bust again. You know, Farsley Celtic, in a few leagues below, has proven that, you know, you can go bust twice. You know, they've lost everything twice with that club. And we don't want to be like Farsley Celtic. So I can completely understand, you know, why Bosworth does what he does, why he plays it safe, but sometimes it's not enough. If you want to progress, you've got to give a bit more. You've got to put a bit of investment, and it's sort of clear it doesn't have that investment that we need. And it's a shame because there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are really doing a lot for the club. I've obviously interviewed supporters club. I'm going to interview a few other people in the next couple of weeks, just to speak what they do, what they like to see for the future of Halifax Town. But ultimately, they can only do so much, and what we need is investment. I don't want us to be, you know, like Wrexham or Salford City. You know, I don't want to have a television show about the history of Halifax Town, all the money pumped in, all the investment, and then we're going up to like League One or Championship in a few years' time. I don't want that. At most, what I want is to be like York City. You know, I mean, that's a club that not that long ago was in 6th tier, and they were, you know, new stadium, but they weren't in the best position. Suddenly got a bit of an investment, and I went there this season. I saw a club that just looked ready for Football League. I said the exact same thing about Oldham Athletic last year, but just looked ready. They weren't non-league clubs. They were Football League clubs who were in the Football League. We don't feel like that. And yet you look at this stadium. I mean, it holds 10,000. Holds 10,000. The team has already had many years in Football League in the long distant past as it is now. And as I said the other day, whilst a lot of clubs have waited 5-10 years, we have waited 24. It's going to be 25 next year. Same as what Coventry City's waited to get back into Premier League. Quarter of a century. I just think we deserve better. And I'm tired and I'm sick of this negative grey cloud hanging over the football club and the stadium. You know, it comes from a lot of the supporters going, oh, well, that's it. Well, that's it then. Adam's gone. We're never going to do anything. You know, every dog has its day, as I always say. I just hope it happens soon. Sooner the better at this point. I don't know what to expect for next season. I do not know what to expect for next season. Another decent manager, because that is one good thing that Bosworth could do. He always gets a decent manager in, keep a lot of the players, and I'm sure fish in somewhat of a decent position. Will things improve behind the scenes? I don't know. So for next season, whilst I hope we finish a decent position, the one thing I'd really hope happens for the next 12 months, if I could wish for anything to happen at this club in the next 12 months, it would be for someone to come in, invest a bit of money and get this club up and running so we look ready to go further than what we have done for the last couple of seasons, so we don't feel frozen or stuck or that we're on the brink of going downhill again. And that's more to ask for than a decent league position at the moment. So yeah, it's hard. You can tell I'm still feeling more about it last week, but yeah, it's a lot to ask for. You never know. I mean, there's a lot of clubs that just out of nowhere get investment, don't know why. It's good to see. It's good to see these clubs saved and up and running, fully functioning like professional football clubs. I just wish to see what happened down here. You know, we've got the stadium, we've got the team, we may soon have the manager. We just need the investment. And I've no doubt that the future will once again look very bright and we'll all feel a lot more optimistic. Unfortunately for now, that grey cloud's still hanging over us. So yeah, a bit of a sad ending to that verdict. But yeah, that is my thoughts. As I say, I'm hopeful for a decent position next year, but we'll see what happens with the new manager that we get. I will react to that as soon as possible, so please stay in touch for that. As for myself, I've got a lot of stuff planned over the next couple of weeks. I say that almost every year and nothing happens in summer. Trust me, this year I have got a lot of content planned. I've got two or three videos that should be uploading sometime in the next couple of days. I'll keep you up to date with that. And I've also got a lot of other videos I'm doing. I'm not just doing Halifax Town. I'm doing another video as well. I'm going to go out and see some other sports and some other, see some other teams and stuff with what's left of the football season in the other leagues. And as I say, not just football, I'm going to see some other stuff as well. I've got a couple of documentaries I'm making at the moment, so I'll try and crack on with them and get them on May, June. Might be taking a break at end of June, just so I can have a bit of a summer holiday from all of this. And then July, hopefully, if pre-seasons are underway here or away, I'll try and get to one of them. Won't be full on match day vlogs, but still, it should, you know what I mean? Just rub my eye then. Still, it'll be videos I'll be covering. And then in August we'll start again. And all of this will start again. You'll see me rambling, me showing the games. Yeah, it's going to be good. And also, I just want to thank everyone, really quickly, just to end this video on a positive note, I just want to thank everybody for reaching 500 subscribers. I couldn't have done it without you. It's now 512 after the last couple of days. Don't know where they've come from. But thank you all. 500 was the first big target. When I got past 200 to 300 a few years ago. Finally done it this season after such a long time. For the last 18 months this channel's really grown, and as I say, it's all down to you. I'm going to try and get to 1,000 subscribers in the next season. Please, as I all say, please like, comment and subscribe, share the videos. As I say, it's not just Halifax Town. I will be covering other stuff every now and again, so if anyone out there has an interest, please subscribe. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers. And thank you all for watching throughout the entire football season, and for anyone who's been here since the beginning, thank you so much for watching throughout that whole time. I will continue to do the best I can with this channel, and yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine covering whatever I'm covering, meeting people, interviewing people. I'll just go into a nice football match and make a little story, a little blog or a documentary out of it. I've got a lot of stuff lined up, as I say, not just for the summer but also for next season. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, both today and in the past and for the future. I will see you all very soon. As I say, be patient. I'll be back in the next couple of days for the next video, and until next time, as always, take care.